Welcome again, students. In this video, we are going to be looking at the Ability Test 2023 past paper. Again, there are 40 questions. You have 1 hour, 15 minutes to answer all the questions. Let's get to the first question. Select the option that best completes the sentence for items 1 to 4. Question 1. Question is to answer as problem is to. The answer for question 1 is solution. Okay. So there's an answer for each question. There's a solution for each problem. Answer is D. Question 2. Ocean is to Atlantic as sea is to. Is it ship, Caribbean, boat, Pacific? The answer is B. Atlantic is a type of ocean, and Caribbean, of course, we have the Caribbean Sea. All right, so number 3, make it a little bigger. Number 3, airplane is to flight attendant as school is to. Is it teacher, principal, pilot, or fish? For question 3, the answer is A, teacher. Why couldn't it have been principal? All right, so the principal is pretty much the head of a school, right? So for the relationship to hold true, then it perhaps would have been the pilot. Would have to have been in relation to the airplane for the principal to be correct for school, right? So the flight attendant is one of those people who work on the plane, but they're not the head of, all right? They're not in charge per se. So teacher would be the most appropriate there for the answer. Question 4, wheel is the invention as fire is to. It matches manufacturing, stove, or discovery. It's discovery. Okay, we invented wheels, but we discovered fire. All right, let's get to question 5. All right, so for items 5 and 6, you're going to choose the option that has the correct alphabetical order. So for question 5, we have the words entertain, entice, energy, eternal, and engine. And so what you're going to be doing is looking to see the order in which they would appear in the dictionary. So we start with the first letter. They're all having the same letter that begins. And then, of course, when we get to the second letter, that's where there's a little bit of a variety. Most of them end with most of them was EN, and there's one, number 4, that says ET. So again, we're looking at how these words would appear alphabetically, how they appear in the dictionary. And so for number 5, once we have done our analysis, then the answer for number 5 would be B. Okay, again, you guys can pause the video to do your own checks to make sure that you are arranging them in the correct order. The same thing for number 6. Those words, how would we arrange them in alphabetical order? Now just look at the first letter or the second or the third because they all have those same first letters. So as a matter of fact, the fourth letter is also the same. So we have to look at the fifth letter. That's where the variation starts to see what would be first. And so for number 6, the answer is C. Let's get to question 7. Which option is not a necessary component for the word in bold type for questions for items 7 to 9? So mark it. What is not a necessary? Okay. Is it the crowd, the fruits, the vegetables, the vendors? All right. So what's not unnecessary? For it to be a market, it doesn't necessarily need crowd. We do need fruits and vegetables, and we need vendors. So the component there, the option there that's not necessary would be crowds. For number 8, we have what would not be a necessary component for a month: week, day, holiday, Sunday. All right, we need days and weeks. And of course, Sunday is one of the days of the week, but we don't necessarily need a holiday for it to be a month. So that's not a necessary component. All right, so let's look at number 9. Email, okay? What's not a necessary component? Is it the sender, the attachment, the receiver, or the message? We do need somebody to send the message. We need somebody to receive the message. We don't necessarily need an attachment, right? Sometimes we attach files, maybe it's a picture or a document, but it's not always necessary to have an attachment. But we do need a message, a receiver, and a sender. All right, questions 10 and 11, it says for these items, which word is least similar to the words in bold type? All right, question 10. All right, so which one is least similar? So we have the word in bold being category. So which of these words was the least similar? Is it group, set, standard, or class? And the answer for 10 would be standard. All right, the others are more similar to the word category. All right, let's get to 11, modern. Which word is least similar to modern? Is it unique, recent, latest, or new? The least similar would be unique. Something can be unique but old, right? Nothing else came close to it recently or so, or in it at any point. So being unique doesn't necessarily mean it's new. All right, it can be something old that is still unique, meaning one of a kind. All right, for items 12 to 14, you're going to examine the options, then select the one that does not belong to in the group. Okay, examine the options, then select the one that does not belong. So for 12, we have obstacle, hurdle, barrier, entrance. The one that does not belong would be entrance. And again, if you don't know what these words mean, go look them up and find out. All right, so for question 13, which one does not belong? Sketch, illustration, photo, drawing. All the others are pretty much done by hand or can be done by hand. These days we have software that can help us to do that, but typically they're done by hand. But with a photo, that takes a special, of course, it's a camera that you use to get a photo. All right, so that one is different. For number 14, pair, trio, duo, both. All right, so for pair, duo, both, that speaks to 2. Trio, that's 3. So the answer for 14 would be B. All right, we're speeding along with these because as the paper goes along, it will get progressively a little bit more challenging, a lot more information. So we don't want to spend time on questions that we don't necessarily need to, because we will need the time for later. And again, these papers will be done in one sitting. So if you think they're too long, we can take a break after 20 minutes. You come back and you look at a few more questions and you take another break. All right. Or if you want to go all the way through, that's also an option for you. All right. So for items 15 and 16, which option reflects a pattern? Okay. So will it be A, E, H, L, M? And we can do, all right. So we have A, then E, then H, L, M. I don't see a pattern there. So that would be, there's no pattern there. And we can do the same thing with all of them. So we have A, C, F, G, M. Obviously, again, no pattern there. So A, D, G, J, M. All right, so we see that they have skipped 2 each time, so we see a definite pattern there. So the correct answer would be C. Okay, all right, so let's go to 16. All right, and the same thing, we want to see what the pattern is. So for A, they have N, O, P, then W, X, Z. All right, that's not a good pattern there, so that doesn't work. All right, so let's try the second one. N, Q, R, S, T, Z. Again, there's no set pattern here, so that also doesn't work. And you do the same for each of them, and you can see which one would give you a good pattern. So for number 16, the answer is D. All right, let's look at D. N, E, S, U, X, Z. So there's a pattern here where they skip one, then there's two, skip one, then skip two, skip one. So that's the pattern. So for 16, the answer is D. All right, let's get to question 17. For question 17, you're going to read the statements in each bubble, then select the option that represents a conclusion from the statement. So statement 1 says, all students who do well in science study during the night. Statement 2 says, Raquel does well in science. So what conclusion can be drawn from both statements? Is it that Raquel studies during the night, or that nighttime is the best time to study? All students study during the night. Science is Raquel's favorite subject. So it says all students who do well in science study during the night. So if Raquel does well in science, that we would assume that yes, she does study at night. Let's look at the others. It says nighttime is the best to study. Well, night time might be best to study for science. It doesn't necessarily say that's true for all other subjects. All right, and it says all students study during the night. No, it didn't say that. It says all students who do well in science. It didn't say all students. It didn't give us that information that's been stated in C. And it doesn't say that science is Raquel's favorite subject. It just says that Raquel does well in science, which is based on, so the only conclusion that works here is that since Raquel did well in science and they said all students who do well in science study during the night, then we are going to assume then that Raquel studied during the night. The answer for 17A. All right, so for question 18, we're going to study the chart below, then use it to answer question 18. Sydney asks her neighbor Jordan to take care of her dog for her while she is away. Use the chart to help Jordan decide how much dog food she should give Hunter each day. So here's a chart, the daily dog food feeding chart, and it tells the age, 3 to 6 weeks, and based on the weight, how many cups they should get. All right, so based on the age and then the weight, you decide. So Sydney's dog is 8 weeks old and weighs 17 kilograms. What is the correct amount of food to be fed to Sydney's dog? So we have to find their age bracket, 8 weeks, so she would be here, or he would be here, whatever the dog's gender. And then we now look at how much the dog weighs, which would be 17. So we look at the correct age category over here. So we match that with the age. So if the dog is 7 to 10 weeks old, she's 8, she falls into the category, and between 16 and 20, so she weighs 17 kilograms, then 3 cups would be the amount of food to be fed to the dog, Hunter. So the answer for 18, that's B. Okay, so that's that. All right, question 19. And these, you have to be a little bit careful with these, especially with these unknown languages. All right, so items 19 and 20 have words and their meanings taken from an artificial language. Read them carefully, then use them to help you select the correct option. All right, so I'm going to attempt to read these words. Dankin Bluff means workforce. More up, Dankin means groundwork. Dankin Alti means workplace. Which word could mean some place? All right. So let's look at a word that has place in it. Dankin Alti means workplace. All right. And then, of course, another word that has the word work would be workforce. So we know that because of this, Dankin means work. Okay, so if Dankin means work and this means workplace, then Alti means place. So we're going to be looking for an option that has Alti at the end because, of course, place would also be at the end. So the only word there that has Alti at the end would be option D. Bluff means force. That's, of course, is not in this word here. All right, so we couldn't use that. More up means ground because, of course, it's at the beginning. So that also could not be correct. So the correct answer is D. Because place should be at the end of the word, not at the beginning, based on how we would read it in the word there. Question 19. Let's see how this one, sorry, that was question 19. We're now at question 20. All right, so which word could mean maple syrup? Okay, so Deokirk means oak tree. Sihenokirk means oak leaf. Sihenkrin means maple leaf. So we can see that when we look at the similarity between oak tree and oak leaf, oak would be the common word. And we see that oak is at the end of the word, the artificial language, even though it's at the beginning of the English translation. So we see now that the words would be written in the opposite. Okay, so the first word is last, the last word is first. All right, so for maple leaf, since leaf here is similar, we can see that the word leaf is hen, okay? But notice that it comes at the end of the English translation, but in the artificial language, it's at the beginning. Therefore, maple would be crin, but the first word was last, okay? So, which word then, if we have maple syrup, that means crin should be at the end of the artificial language because for it to be first in the English translation, it has to be last in the artificial. So which word has crin at the last, at the end? And that would be A. All right. Remember, it's pretty much opposite. The word that's first in the artificial is the word at the end in the English translation. All right, so let's get to 21. Examine the pattern below, use it to answer item 21. Well, we are now at the second half of the paper. So let's go. All right, so for question 21, which number will correctly replace the asterisk in the pattern? 7, 11, 15, 19, asterisk, and then 27. So if we look at the pattern, the numbers are being increased by 4 each time. Right? You add 4 to 7, it becomes 11 plus 4, 15 plus 4, 19. So what do we add to, if we add 4 to 19, it becomes 23. And then, of course, if we add 4 to 23, it becomes 27. So the answer for 21 is B. All right, so let's look at this. Make it a little bit smaller. Oops, that's very small. All right, so let's go a little bit this way so we can see everything all at once. All right, it says 4 cells are marked on the grid below. The location for 3 of the cells are also given in the key. Use the grid and the key provided to answer item 22. Okay, so we see where the heart is. Heart says A5. So, and for a spade, I would assume that's D1. And the flush, if we're looking at how they would appear on cards, then that would be F3. So the diamond would be C4. So the answer for 22 would be A, C4. There you have it. C4. All right, question 23. Examine the pattern below. Use it to answer item 23. All right, and we have to be so careful with patterns, but of course, there's always something that we can use to identify what should be next. So we have some patterns with a circle, a heart, and a diamond, okay, in different positions, right? So first we had the circle with a heart and diamond, then we have the heart, diamond. So if we look at these three shapes, then we can sense a pattern that's occurring. Different patterns there that we can use to identify what should be. So we have the circle, the heart, then the diamond. So again, based on the fact that here's a heart, I would see that we should have a circle here. Okay. Another pattern you notice is that you have two diamonds together, then two circles. Then I'm going to assume that we would need two hearts. Okay. And since it's three different shapes, then over here would be the diamond, which would give you two diamonds on that side as well. Okay, so there are so many different patterns that we can look at. We have two diamonds here, two circles, two hearts, two diamonds. All right, circle, heart, diamond, circle, heart, and then it would have continued to be another diamond there. So the correct answer for 23 is B. Okay. Hope you guys are keeping up so far, but again, you can pause it and look to see for yourself how the answer is. Look at the other options too and see which one is correct. All right, so let's get to question 24. Let me make it a little bigger again, as you guys might be using some smaller devices. So I want to make sure it's very clear for all of you to see. All right, so the clues in the rectangle below describe a two-digit number. Use them to answer items 24. All right, so we don't know what the two-digit number is, but we are given some clues. They said the number is less than 50. If the number is less than 50, this can't be correct. All right, let me do that better. This can't be correct. And they said the number is greater than 20, so it can't be 19 either. Then we have the number is a multiple of 3. No, 36 and 48, those are both multiples of 3. Let's go to the fourth clue. The digits 3, 6, and 9 are not digits in the number. So this has 3 and 6, so this would also be incorrect. So the answer is C, 48. And that's a process of elimination. All right, let's get to question 25. Examine the three shapes below. Each shape represents its own unique set of digits. Use them to answer item 25. So for the circle, 2, 4, 6, 8, triangle, 1 and 3, and for the square, 5 and 7. In any given number, each shape represents one of the digits given in the set. Which three-digit number could be represented by a square, circle, triangle? Could it be 541? All right, so for it to be a square, yes, a 5 is a possibility, and then a 4 out of what the possible numbers for the circle, and then 1 for the triangle. Okay, so we already have our answer, but let's just try one more just to see. All right, so could it be 7 for the square, and then for a circle, they have in the second digit a 3, but for a circle, we only have even numbers, so the B would have been incorrect. C, again, 7, that's a possibility for the square. The second number is a 6, so that's a possibility for the circle. But for a triangle, the only options is 1 or 3, and they have 2, so that's not correct either. So our answer is A. All right, question 26. All right, so it's all about numbers and getting clues. Ron is thinking of a number that is more than 899 but less than 997. Which of the following numbers could Ron be thinking of? All right, so it's more than 899. So it could not be 898. could not be 890. Okay. And it says it has to be less than 997. So it could not be 999. So the only answer there that's more than 899, but less than 997 would be C. Let's get moving. All right, so for question 27, the table below shows the value of a house and an apartment taken from a game. Use the information to answer item 27. All right, so we have a house, the value is $150, an apartment, the value is 300. Which of the following is true? The value of two houses is the same as one apartment. So the value of two houses would be 300, which is the same as one apartment. That's true. But let's look at the other options. Two houses would be 300, like we said. Two apartments would have been 600, so those are not the same. One house is 150 at two apartments 600. Those two would not be the same. A house is the same, one house is the same as one apartment. No, they have different values. So the only thing here, the option here that's true would be two houses, because 2 times 150, that's 300, is the same as the value of one apartment. So the answer for 27, A. All right, so now we're going to read the information below about 4 family members. Use it to answer item 28. Yannick is 20 years old. Yannick is half of Kevin's age. Kevin is 4 times older than Lee, and Gavin is 6 years older than Lee. Who is the youngest member of the family? So we know Yannick's age. Yannick is 22. All right, they say Yannick is half of Kevin's age. So Kevin then would be Yannick's age times 2, which is 44. So Kevin is 44. Lee, so they said no, we're trying to find Lee's age. Kevin is 4 times older than Lee. So Kevin, oh, we already have Kevin's age. So we want to find Lee's age now. So since Kevin is 4 times older, then Lee would be 44 divided by 4. So Lee is 11. Let me fix this a bit. Okay, divided. And then Gavin, what did they say about Gavin? Gavin is 6 years older than Lee. So Gavin would be 11 plus 6. Gavin is 17. So who is the youngest member? The youngest member of the family is Lee. Lee is 11. So the answer for 28 is B. All right, so we are now at 29. Going to reduce it a little bit so we can see everything. I want it to be as clear as possible. So it says, observe the 3 balance scales below. Use them to answer item 29. Which object is the heaviest? Okay, so for item 29, which object is the heaviest? So, all right, let's look at them. All right, so far we know that this is heavy. It's heavier than this one. So this can't be the heaviest. And since it's heavy, this also can't be the heaviest. Okay? And since this is the same as this one, they balance out, then this also can't be the heaviest because we still have this one being the heaviest, right? When you compare these two. So this also could not be the heaviest because, all right? And since it's heavier than this one, then this can't be the heaviest either. So the heaviest of all would be this one. So the answer is D. Again, guys, just take your time, look at the relationships and see how it works, okay? Question 30. The diagram below shows a container to be filled with 2 liters of water. Use it to answer item 30. In each of the following options, each container holds the same amount of water as the container above. Which of the following will likely fill the container with water? Exactly to the 2-liter mark. All right, so let's look at the options. So if I should use A pretty much seems to be a quarter. So a quarter and a quarter will just take me to half of the container. All right, a half and a quarter, that's going to give me 3/4. That's not going to fill the container. Half and half, that gives me a full amount. And then for D, 3/4 and half, that would give me more. We want it to be exactly, all right, exactly to the 2-liter mark. So the answer would have been C. The 2 half containers, you combine them, they give you the full container, full 2 liters. Question 31. So we're at the last 10 questions on the paper, right? So let me make it a bit bigger again so that it's a bit not visible. All right, so 3 children are shown below. Tom weighs 27.9 kg and Sarah weighs 28.6 kg. Use this information to answer item 31. The children are standing in ascending order based on their weight. Which of the following would represent Anne's age? So Anne's weight should be between, meaning it's not as it's somewhere in the middle between the two. So it's not the lowest and it's not the highest. Okay, so it could not be 30 because that would be more than all the kids, and she doesn't weigh the most, so that's incorrect. Could not be 29. 29 is also more than both. All right, let's look at 28.9. That's also more than both. So these 3 would be incorrect, sorry. Oops, everything went. All right, so this would be incorrect, like we said. This is also incorrect, and this is also incorrect. So the correct answer would be D. So the answer for 31 is D. All right, let's look at our next question. The diagram below shows the route taken by a plane on day 1. It also shows the plane's average speed, its scheduled departure time, and its scheduled arrival time on day 1. Use the diagram to answer item 32. All right, so the departure time is 3:30. Travels at a speed of 760 kilometers per hour, and it arrives at 5 p.m. I wonder if you guys are able to tell what countries these represent. All right, so on day 2, the same plane leaves at the same time, travels along the same route, but travels at a greater speed to the second destination. Which time could represent the likely arrival time of the plane? All right, so I'm going to make it just a bit smaller so we can see everything on the screen at the same time, hopefully. So I don't need to make it that small. I zoom in just a bit. Just to give us everything on this screen at the same time. Okay. All right, so on day 2, leaves at the same time, travels along the same distance, but travels at a greater speed. What time would represent the arrival time? Okay. Could it be 3:30 the same time it leaves? No. Okay. Remember, it got there at 5 p.m. the previous day. So what it couldn't have gotten there. Let's look at the options that couldn't possibly work. Couldn't get there later because it travels at a greater speed. So that means it's going to get there faster. 5 o'clock, the same time, no. Remember, it's traveling at a greater speed. So it's going to get there earlier. So the possible answer there would be B, 4:45, right? 15 minutes earlier since it's traveling at a greater speed. They didn't tell us how much faster, but we know it's faster. That means it's going to take less time. Okay? So the answer for 32 is B. All right, let's get to question. Let's make this a bit not much bigger, but just want to make sure that everything is on the paper at the same time. All right, so the table below shows the make and color of cars in stock at a dealership. Use it to answer items 33 and 34. Okay, so we have the make of the car, Honda, Toyota, Subaru, Mazda. Then we have the colors, red, white, and black. Which make of car has the largest stock at the dealership? So we'd have to add up the three colors for the Honda all together, see what the total is. The Toyota, the same thing. We add up all the colors. 8 and 5, that's 13, and 4, 17. 5 plus 5 is 20, plus 2, 22. 7 and 6, 13, plus 5, 18. 16 and 4, 20, plus 1, 21. So which make of car had the largest stock? That would be the Toyota. So the answer for 33 is A. Let me do that so you don't get confused. The answer is A. All right, so the answer for 33, A, Toyota. And it says the buyer purchased a black car. What are the chances that the make of the car is a Subaru or a Toyota? All right, so what are the chances that the make of the car is a Subaru or a Toyota if he purchases a black? So let's look at the black cars. We have 4 black Honda, 5 black Toyota, 5 Subaru, and 1 Mazda. So the Subaru and the Toyota would represent 10 out of the 15, right? So 10 out of 15. Okay? So what are the chances? So 10 out of 15 would be definitely, it wouldn't have been impossible. It wouldn't have been certain because, of course, there are other cars with less numbers, but there are other cars, and it's not unlikely. It would be likely because there are more, so it's likely you're going to pick one. Not impossible, not unlikely, not certain, but definitely likely. So for 34, the answer is C. All right, so the pie chart below shows the sports preferred by 160 grade 6 students at a school. Use it to answer items 35 to 37. So we have the sports here preferred by 160 grade 6 students: netball, cricket, track and field, football, and tennis. First question asks, which sport is least preferred by the grade 6 students? And of course, that's tennis, which has the smallest portion. So the answer for 35 is B. Which two sports are preferred by more than half of the grade 6? So when you combine the two, which one would give you more than half? They didn't say half, they said more than half. So if we should combine netball and cricket, if we were to combine these two, that's not. If you said we take out these two slices, right? It's a pie, we take out these two slices. Would it be more than half, netball and cricket? No. Let's try another option. Tennis and football. Here's tennis and football. Would that be half if you combine these two? No. Let's look at cricket and track and field. Cricket and track and field. So if I should combine these two, that's still not half. Okay, so let's look at the final option, football and track and field. So if we should combine the football and the track and field, then it's definitely more than half. So which two sports are preferred by more than half? It would be those two combined. So the answer is D. All right, guys, almost at the end of the paper. Question 37. The number of students who prefer netball is 3 times the number of students who prefer tennis. How many students prefer tennis? All right. So how would we know then how many students prefer Let's look at the question again. The number of students who prefer netball is 3 times the number of students who prefer tennis. All right, so let's look at the information. We can see here that this is a quarter, because if this is a right angle, remember a circle measures what? 360 degrees. So for a right angle, that means that this would have been a half. So a right angle would have been a quarter, right? 90 degrees. Remember, a right angle measures 90 degrees. So 90 degrees would be 1/4. All right, a quarter of 160. So a quarter of the entire amount, sorry, a quarter of 160 into 4, that would be 40. So the combination for netball and tennis students together would be a total of 40. Now let's look at the rest of the information to see what we found. So we know that 40 students, right, so netball and tennis together would be 40 students, okay? So 3 to 1. So it's in the ratio of 3 to 1, right? So for every 3, so it says 3 times. So for every 3 that prefers netball, 1 prefers tennis, okay? So then the netball would have been in the 3 out of 4, right? And so tennis would have been 1 out of 4. Okay, so if we have 40 students and we did 3 quarters, then we know that the tennis would have been, sorry, the netball would have been 30 students. And so the tennis would have been 10 students. So how many students prefer tennis? The answer would be 10. And again, there are different ways to look at the question. So you just need to find your way if you don't appreciate the methods that I'm using. All right, so question 38. All right, heading down to the final. All right, so there are 60 animals on a farm. Cows, goats, and chickens. There are 15 chickens, and there are 3 more goats than cows. How many cows are on the farm? So if there are 60 animals, right? We know that 15 of them are chickens, right? We don't know how many goats, we don't know how many cows yet, but we can subtract the 15 chickens. So we are left with 45 animals that are goats and cows. The next information that we found is that we have 3 more goats than cows. So if we subtract that difference, the 3, right, we are left with 42 animals. And so if we divide that by 2, then there are 21, right? So of course we would have added 3 more to 21 for the goats. And so there are 21 cows on the farm. Guys, this is not necessarily a teaching exercise. We're just answering the question. So it's not going to be very detailed in the explanations, okay? We would have had to, where possible I do that, but sometimes in the interest of time, and having, expected that by this time, if you're doing review papers and you would have learned the content, then this is just a review. All right, so for question 39, for item 39, there is a question followed by 2 statements. Read the statements carefully to see if they provide enough information to help you answer the question. 39. How many students in grade 6 are members of the Brownie Club? How many members in grade 6 are members of the Brownie Club? Our statement 1 says all the girls in grade 6 are members of the Brownie Club. All right, statement 2 says more than half of the students in grade 6 are girls. But it doesn't tell us exactly how many students are in the class. We don't know how many of the students are girls or how many are boys, right? So Can we determine the answer from statement 1 alone, or statement 2 alone, or both are enough, or both are not enough? What would you think? Right? So it tells us that all the girls in grade 6 are members of the Brownie Club. But there's nothing that gives us a number to work with. It didn't give us the number of boys, it didn't give us the total number of students in the class, it didn't tell us the number of girls in the class, right? To know how many are members of the Brownie Club. So both statements together are not enough. The answer for question 39 is D. Let's get to the final question on the paper. All right, so let me make it smaller. Oops, that is too small, but there's a lot of information, so I'll just see how I can maneuver. All right, so the information below represents what Jenny observed about the number of points she earned after shopping at a supermarket. Use the information to answer item 40. Day 1, Jenny bought 1 bag of groceries and earned 4 points. So for 1 bag of groceries, she earned 4 points. On day 2, she bought 3 baskets of groceries and earned the same number of points she earned from the 1 bag of groceries, along with 2 more points. So remember, for the bag of groceries, she had earned 4 points. So this is 4. And then, of course, with the 2, so that's a total of 6 points. So we can say that each of these would have been 2 points each. Okay, because 4 plus 2 equals 6. So if we divide that evenly for those 3 baskets, then it would have been 2 each. As I said, you can always pause the video to do your calculations yourself. It says on day 3, she brought 1 trolley of groceries and earned the same number of points she would have earned if she brought 5 baskets of grocery on day 2. So remember, each basket is 2 points based on our calculations. So that would be an equal to 10. So this would be 10 as well, right? Because each of those baskets pretty much would be 2 points. All right, so how many points did, oh, so I pretty much answered the question already. So how many points did Jenny earn for 1 trolley of groceries she brought on day 3? That would have been 10, since it's equal to 5 baskets and each basket is 2. So the answer for question 40 is C. All right, there you have it. We're at the end of the paper. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, watch the other videos in this series. And as I usually say, I'll see you in the next video.